Welcome to Quilt-Cam on a Wednesday night in January, everybody. It's snowing outside. I'm in North Carolina, but we're tucked in all nice and warm and cozy. And I am playing with all of the lovely donated strings that people have sent me. When we first finished our Aleatare quilt, our mystery this year, I had put out a plea to help me with some variety. You know, gray fabric is something I have used in yardage quantities for both our Easy Street mystery and then here in Aleatare, but the variety of strings required to do a string quilt in gray was something that I just didn't have. I've started collecting fat quarters and everything, and I thought, well, you know what? Maybe as people clean up their cutting tables, they'll have a couple of strips left over that they wouldn't mind just tucking into an envelope and sending it to me, and it wouldn't take more than one regular stamp. And you know what's happened? I have to turn this off here just a second. We're going to put this on vibrate so that it doesn't jingle us all to death. I have the biggest basket ever, full to the brim with gray strips from readers. I never, ever, ever, and not just strips, hunks and chunks and big pieces and parts. And all of the variety is so wonderful, from recycled plaids to geometrics and swirls and florals, and the grays themselves go from a very, very light pearl gray all the way through the gray spectrum. And some are pushing towards taupe, you know, that brownie gray. Some go towards a blue gray, and some are even pushing towards a lavender gray, because gray has a whole spectrum. And just the ability to add all of these different shades together are going to give me a really fun, dynamic quilt. That's my secret to a successful scrap quilt, is you've got to push your boundaries in all directions. So when I'm doing something where I'm working within one color family, I don't want to match all of the grays exactly. I need some light ones and some medium ones and some dark ones and some ones pushing towards brownie taupe and some ones pushing towards light blue or purple, and it's really going to be fun. This is heavy on my lap. Let me put this down. So you should have seen my mail person, not like as in man person, but as in mail, M-A-I-L. And she'd come with these bundles or a tub or whatever. And said, what is this? What is going on? And I'd have to explain, it's my birthday month, and this is fabric from my readers. And you could tell the wheels were just not really quite sure what all of this was as she was scanning all of the barcodes that needed to be scanned. This is what blocks look like when they're covered with strips. So you can see all of the variety in here. And even when I'm looking at the camera, it's interesting on the screen to see what things look like on a desktop view versus what I see with my eyes. For instance, this one looks very light. It's a floral on a taupey gray, but you see a lot of the light shows up a lot more than the background color, but I like that because it's going to add a pop. There's some solids here in a nice dove gray, and that's kind of pushing towards the blue spectrum. There's some plaids and some florals and some recycled shirt stripes. I'm just having a wonderful time. One of my favorites so far, let's see if I can find it. I must have trimmed it already. Here's some that I've sewn and trimmed. Yes, I've had a machine day today, and I've just had the best time ever. Just a few emails going back and forth between me and my editor, but other than that, until I hear that email bing, then I've been at the machine. Can you see this one? And maybe one of you who are watching tonight will recognize this fabric as one that you sent in. It's got little round doodads that kind of look like jacks, but some of them are red and some of them are black and some of them are white. So there's a little pop of red going on in here. This older floral here, it's like a Civil War type floral, has a gray background but blue flowers. And yeah, I'm letting those play too. I'm letting the colors come in. So whether the gray has some yellow or here's some with some yellow and some red on it. Lots of polka dots. This one I absolutely love. It's piano keys. And this one, the notes that came with it said this piano key music fabric was to go with the pianos, the gray pianos that I bought while I was in McKinney, Texas a couple of weeks ago. So this is what's going on. You can see this one is gray background with some floral stuff. In every block, I'm trying to just put one piece that has a little bit more color. I'm trying not to do everything just tone on tone, tone on tone, tone on tone, because that gets flat and boring. But I'm having a great time with this. One of my other favorites that I just pulled out of the big basket as I dig for stuff. Look at this one. It has Frady cats on it. Can you see the kitty cats? Now this one's a very light gray, but the cats are almost black, and mostly you can't really see a whole lot of cats once I get it sewn in. But look at that cat, so fun. So I'm having a ball with this, and I want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for sending me something so wonderful to play with and to create with. This is going to be a really, really fun quilt. So if this is your first time joining in with Quilt-Cam tonight, I want to welcome you. Quilt-Cam isn't something we do on a regular basis. In fact, last week, was it on a Wednesday last week or was it Thursday last week? I don't remember. We don't even do it weekly. It's just whenever it fits into my schedule when I'm home. Tomorrow is my Pamper Me Day. For my birthday's on Saturday, and believe me, we take the whole month. I figure by the time that you reach 50, you deserve to celebrate the whole month. My girlfriend Mona, her birthday was last week, and my birthday's the 23rd. So we kind of celebrate the whole period in between these two birthdays as our days to enjoy. And we went out to dinner last Saturday night together, and we'll go out to dinner this Saturday night together. We did Japanese for her, and we're doing Mexican for me. So we're running the gamut of international food. Back to where I was, not a regular thing for Quilt-Cam, but we do it when we can, and we enjoy it when we can. So how do you know when Quilt-Cam will be? There's a few different ways. If you go to my blog, it's quiltville.blogspot.com. Partway down the right-hand sidebar, and this means you have to view it on web version, not on a mobile version, because there's no sidebars on the mobile version. So do it from a real computer unless you want to, make it really small on your phone. There's a place where you can put in your email address, and at the end of the day, you will get a daily digest of posts that have come through my blog. I blog once a day at least, sometimes twice a day. Sometimes I have something to post about in the evening, sometimes I don't. It just depends. So that isn't as regular as newspaper delivery, but that's as good as we're going to get it. And I will usually give you a couple of days heads up if we're going to be doing Quilt-Cam on any given evening. So a couple of nights ago, or a couple of mornings, I think, I said, probably Monday morning, it's looking like Wednesday night's going to work. Let's do Quilt-Cam on the blog at 9. If you missed that post, then you need to be sure that you read all the way through the post. These kind of announcements usually come as an afterthought at the bottom of my post. It'll tell you when Quilt-Cam will be. Another way that you can know is to watch on my Facebook. Both my group and my business page will have announcements on when Quilt-Cam will be. Sometimes things show up in your Facebook newsfeed, sometimes they don't, and I know that's frustrating. So the one thing that you can do to be sure that you're getting these messages that are really important are to, on my business page, after you've clicked like, then you're going to go a little bit further. I think you hover your little mouse and then the little menu pops up, and you can check to have all of the notifications always show up in your news feed. And that's what you want. You don't want to miss anything. And when all else fails, hit the at least once daily and scroll through the posts that have come through that day, and then you won't miss anything. I don't send out email announcements. I need to kind of condense what social media I do, so I'm telling you where it will appear. I will usually make a post on Instagram that goes to the following places. If I post to Instagram, it goes to my Facebook business page, which is Quiltville Friends. My group page, which is an interactive group of about 36,000 people who are sharing their progress, it will go there. It goes to Twitter. It goes to Flickr. It goes to Tumblr. If you're on Tumblr, that's a way that you can get my Instagram feed if you don't Instagram. And of course, the blog. So there's many ways to know when Quilt-Cam's going to be, but it's up to you to know how and where to find it, because it doesn't happen regularly. Let's see, what else do we have going on today? Oh, exciting things. My first pattern publication with C&T, now that they've acquired Kansas City Star, this is my first release with them. It's a single standalone pattern for Wonky Wishes. Many of you may remember the Wonky Wishes block. when I did it for a blog hop for a book release for someone else. And it was just a block on my website for a long time. And then it turned into a real quilt, and then C&T wanted to publish it. So it is being released by mid-February, and I will be having that on the website, and I'll be doing a giveaway and some other things with that. So be watching for that. That's really exciting to have my first standalone pattern. We are rerunning my 6 workshop series for Craft University. If you missed the workshop series the first time around, yes, this is the same one that ran starting in October. It's 6 sessions, 6 1-hour sessions. Some of them are more than an hour, depending on what we had to cover in that episode. It's a 6-week course, and you can save $30 on the cost of the course by clicking the link that is in the left-hand sidebar right under the photo of the registration open picture. Be sure that you enter the code at checkout when you purchase the course. You'll save $30. $30 goes a lot of way towards more fabric, so I'm all for that. And we have added another cruise for 2016, and I have not even blogged about this yet. This is happening. I'll blog about it tomorrow morning. That's on the to-do list to plug those trips. There at last I heard there were 5 slots left in July's Alaskan cruise. So if you're wanting to go to Alaska, there's 5 slots left there. Find a girlfriend, bring a hubby, bring a sister, whatever it is, you can still come to Alaska. Or if Alaska's not your thing, we have opened up October of 2016. We're going to be sailing out of Fort Lauderdale on the Oasis of the Seas. It's one of the largest classes of ships out there as far as cruising goes, and we're going to have an absolutely fabulous time. I don't have a link for that up on the website yet. That's going to come tomorrow in tomorrow's blog post, but you can find it if you go to crafttours.com and then click the link for quilting trips. You'll find that I have my own category at the top of the page. Just click my name, Bonnie Hunter, and it will show you all of the trips that I have going in 2016, 2017, and you'll be able to find that cruise there. It's going to sell out. I'm limited to 50 people. So there's your options for that. So what I want to do, now that I've got you all caught up on all the news, I am working on these string blocks right here. And you've probably seen me do a lot of string piecing because I do a lot of string piecing. It's like my favorite thing ever. But I can give those who are new a little bit of hints and helps before I sew. Yes, you might recognize this paper that's on the back side here. It's from a phone book. Phone book paper is really thin, whoopsie, really crisp, and it will come off if your stitches are small enough. So what I do is set my stitch length. I should have gotten some tape before we sat down. That's okay. It's just there to give us a size to shoot for, and it's going to come out when we're done anyway. On this machine, I set my stitches to about 14 stitches an inch. And you can test. The paper should come off fairly easily, but it should not be jumping off the way that this one did. So I'm going to just make my stitch just a tiny bit bigger. You want your stitches really close together, small stitches, or else you're having to tear the paper from hole to hole to hole to get the paper off the block. Small stitches. And then once you've got your paper foundation, you're just going to center your strings corner to corner for this quilt on your paper. Now, I'm not giving the size for these blocks because it's not a full quilt yet, and I might change my mind on what I'm going to do with them. So I went kind of large just in case I want to go smaller later. And I am going to take a strip. Here's a fun one. It looks like it's got some clocks on it. And I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to cut it off. I always give myself a 1/4 inch either side of my paper length just for some margin in case something flips over and doesn't cover the paper. I've got room to shift the ruler if I need to. Okay. Now this little machine, I found it on Craigslist for $40. $40. And it's just a beautiful machine. It just sews like butter. Maybe if I can adjust the camera just a little bit better, you'll be able to see just a little bit more. It's always iffy when I turn the camera on what the view is really going to be. I'm working on a chain of 2. That's my preferred method. Is my iron on? Nope, got to turn the iron on. Okay. I'll just use my finger for right now. One of the reasons why I like to use a paper foundation is even if I didn't get this pressed super flat and I ended up with just a little bit of a bulge, I can tug the paper to release that and still press it flat. Or if I were sewing on fabric or a leave-in foundation, I wouldn't be able to. All right, I'm going to find something to sew to this. Now this is really fun. I don't know if you can tell. This strip right here, it's kind of looks like polka dot bubbles. And it's got shiny silver. It's got silver metallic. And I don't hardly buy any silver fabrics, but I'm sure loving sticking them in here. Here's another one. I'll move these out of the way. These dots are shiny metallic silver. And I think it's just going to make the quilt so fun. I think that's one of those things where if you reach 50, you deserve some bling in your life. Okay, so let's pull something we haven't used yet. And it needs to be something long enough. And I've got a whole pile here to pull from. And what I tend to do, when instead of digging through the basket and digging and digging and digging, I get myself a good little selection. And then I pull from this until the variety is just not there anymore. And I can tell I need some more because I'm pulling the same thing. And then I'll add some more to this little pile. So I don't dig into the whole basket all of the time. One of the things that I do want is a variety of strip widths. So when I was asking for strips, I said anywhere and everywhere from 3/4 of an inch up to 2 inches. I usually don't use strips that are wider than 2 inches or 2 inches. If somebody sends me a 2.5 inch strip, it's getting cut in half so that I can get 2 different widths out of that. This machine sews so fast that it starts the table bouncing. So I have to get my lead foot off of the pedal. So here's that cat fabric just sewn in there. Now when you're string piecing, you can decide, do you want to fill in one side? Do you want to work, evenly out from side to side, or you can work a little bit over here and a little bit over here, and it really doesn't matter. Just that your center strip is right side up on the paper, and then you put everything else right sides to that so that they flip out as they work towards the corner. Now if you want to send me an email and attach a photo of what you're working on, you're going to send that to quiltville@gmail.com. And this is sending me messages. My battery's draining fast, but we're at 93%, so we're good. If you want to leave a comment on the blog post, you can. Or if you're watching us on YouTube where this is streaming live, you can leave a comment there, and it shows up in my email. I've already heard several things. Oh, my goodness. We've got a lot going on here. Here's one from, is it Levy or Levi? I never know how to pronounce that name right. If you're American, we wear our Levi's, not our Levi's, but I never know. So this is from Levy Henson, a Crusoe quilter, who says, it's been quite a while since I've been able to catch you live. My smart TV that I bought specifically to watch Quilt-Cam on finally lets me watch live. So hello on the new smart TV. Says, thank you for the Aliatare. I love it. Mine has already been claimed even before it was off the design wall. Boy, isn't that a nice feeling. Tonight I'm working on some log cabin blocks in shades of blue for an original design at a regional quilt show in March. So we're down to the wire here. The pressure's on. And you know what? I work best with a deadline, and you will too. So I've got some photos here to share. If I can get this open, and I see all those lovely blue strips. Come on, basement Wi-Fi. Come on, open up, open. It's gonna do this to me tonight. Okay. How come it won't open? This is what I'm getting. I know there's more picture than that. Come on, baby, come to mama. Okay, we'll try the other picture and see. There we go. Okay, so here's the blocks on the design wall. Okay, so if I do it this way, I get the full picture. If I turn it this way, it goes small. So maybe that was my problem. My camera might not be on rotation. Let me see if it is. Rotate photo. Screen rotation is on. Who knows? But those are beautiful. Levy, please let me know. I don't like to butcher people's names, and I'm always afraid to mispronounce something. Man, those are beautiful. I haven't done a log cabin in a while. I'm anxious to. Sherry Dawn says, Quilt-Cam, exclamation point, exclamation point. So happy to be sewing with you tonight. Happily, scrappily Irish was my leader ender project last summer at the cabin. It has now become a front runner. I like that term, front runner, for getting finished up at a retreat I'm going to this coming weekend. I'm putting the first set of blocks together and have pieces all ready to go for the alternating blocks. And she says, happy birthday, thank you, Sherry. And she sent a picture. This one better open. Come on, yep, this one did. I actually think it's just due to really slow Wi-Fi down here. I've got the computer hardwired, but the phone is just really, really tries. But those are beautiful blocks. It's going to look wonderful. And so fun to know that that's been a leader ender for a while. Front runner. I like that. Spanky says, can't get Quilt-Cam. Well, you know what? Come to the blog. Come to the blog. You will always find it on the blog. If you're getting errors on YouTube. In fact, let me just send her an email really quick. If you can't get Quilt-Cam on YouTube, please come to the blog where I am streaming live in tonight's post, period. I do a lot of I do a lot of dictating, but you got to be careful what actually gets posted on the screen, because when I was in Texas, and I think I already said this before, but they said, please say that we've got batiks on the bolt on sale. And I said, batiks on the bolt are on sale. And I hit send, and it came out as butt cheeks on the bolt are on sale. Got to be good with the reading here. Paula Jo David, how are you, girl? She says, under my needle, working on the mystery and leaders and enders. So I'll show you a photo of what she's got. A beautiful machine. Wonderful. That is just lovely. Looks like, is that a Sphinx? I can't tell from the decals, but I can tell it is a shuttle bobbin. And she's working along on the Aliatare mystery and her leaders and enders tonight. So happy to have you here. I can see that. That's wonderful. I love the glimpses into everybody else's sewing room. And this one, Debbie Person says, yay for Quilt-Cam. Tonight I am busy cutting out chemo bags for my guild is doing as a service project for a local hospital. A large group of us are getting together this coming Saturday to make them. Feels good to pay it forward. Thanks for keeping me company tonight, and thanks for all you do. You know, chemo bags are just one of those things that can really brighten somebody's day. And it's a good excuse to pull into that, all those fun fabrics that you bought. You don't know, big prints, little prints, fun, splashy things, and it really, really makes a difference to those who are scared for their lives at that point. So thank you for doing that. And a lot of hands to sew those all up is going to get the job done in no time, and it's really going to make a world of difference. So thank you, Debbie, for doing that. Here's Rose Osuma says, what I'm doing tonight. Oh my goodness, beautiful machine. She says, watching you from Cottondale, Alabama. Drove 3 hours hoping to make it home in time. Made it with 20 minutes to spare. Atta girl, that's wonderful. Love vintage machines, and I'm using my Vickers hand crank to sew some strip scraps. I've had the machine for 6 months and just discovered it has holes in it and the base to convert it to a treadle. Bonus. So let's see her bonus Vickers here. Oh yeah, I see where those holes are. Now the thing is, when you convert a hand crank to a treadle, does the crank have to come off? Or does you just leave the crank on there and then it just goes around and around while you're treadling? I have no clue, but I've seen bases like that do have treadle holes so that you can just plop the whole base on top of a table and run the treadle belt through the holes, through the base, down around the flywheel, and away you go. That is beautiful. I've never seen a Vickers in the wild. Beautiful machine. All the way to the bottom, because you guys have been sending stuff like crazy. Photo Kevin74 says Quilt-Cam. Ooh, cool. I finally found a way to join you on Quilt-Cam from the rental. You piggybacked off of your neighbor's Wi-Fi, didn't you? I'll pay you $5 if you let me watch Quilt-Cam. He says, working on a memory quilt for my cousin out of my uncle's shirts and ties. Beautiful job, Kev. There was a plethora to choose from as he was a Baptist minister for over 50 years. You have to put this on the label. That's information that future generations are going to want to know. Thanks for sharing your creative genius with us, your adoring friends and fans. Hope to see you soon. And this is Kevin. Oh, Kevin, that looks so great. So he's got the shirt prints there, the cotton shirts, plaid, stripes, whatever, and then all of the ties are becoming Dresden plates on there. And these all belong to his uncle. I just think that is the most wonderful, memorable quilt ever. And I don't worry about mixing the silks and acetates and rayons of ties as an applique on top of cotton, because this is a memory project. It's not about the purity of the fiber content. You can do this. And this, Kevin, this is wonderful. So I hope you'll share with us your progress, and maybe, who knows, in a couple of weeks you'll have the top done and you can send it to us too. I hope that things are moving along with the purchase of your new home and that you'll soon have a studio of your own. And I'm interested in how you have found a way to watch Quilt-Cam from the rental. That's too funny. Okay, Robert Steele. This is Charlene from Ashtabula, Ohio. Charlene, how are you? She says, my first live Quilt-Cam. I've watched all your archives while riding my exercise bike. Okay, so the rest of us are sitting on our duffs, and she's out there burning off her thighs on the exercise bike while watching archives. Way to make me feel like a fatso. She says, I check your blog and Facebook for my Bonnie fix each day. I have learned so much. You have been to our Ashtabula Friendly Quilt Guild a few times. Yes. In fact, I was telling my friend Mona about the guild in Ashtabula because her daughter lives not too far from there. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the town, but not too far from there. And she needs to check out the guild when she comes to visit. But I also loved all of the covered bridges in the area. So if you're anywhere near Ashtabula in the summer, go on a covered bridge hunt. It's and pack a picnic. It's just a wonderful, wonderful corner of Ohio. She says, I have put all of my scraps into the scrap user system. Now I'm a true scrapaholic and will never go back. Woo, woo, woo. I love it. I love it. That's wonderful. She says, my major winter project is hand quilting a queen size Carolina chain. Now let's see you do that while you're on your exercise bike. I have 2 twin size wonky wishes in progress, but tonight I am working on an Oh My Stars. Thanks for sharing your talent and inspirations. P.S. Can't wait to see what you're making with all of the Irish green blocks, then all of the floor patches, and now all of your gray strings. You keep us in suspense. That's the idea. I'm so glad you were able to join us, Charlene. Great to have you here. Okay. One more, and then this girl wants to sew some strips. So I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom where Jessica says, Quilt-Cam, I'm watching tonight with my 8-year-old Hannah. Hi, Hannah. How are you? Hopefully you help your mom with some sewing and make sure that she doesn't make any mistakes and things like that, because you're going to be the next big quilter runner-up, aren't you? She says, I said to her a couple minutes ago, guess who will be on tonight? Her reply was Bonnie Hunter. So Hannah, if this is your bedtime Quilt-Cam, and I'm so glad you were able to join with your mom, and I'm glad to have you here with us. Okay, so where was I? Oh, yes. So here I am, and I've got this little corner here, and I want to be sure that I don't end up with a lot of seam allowances right up here close. So on this strip, I may be moving my next piece down, leaving extra big seam allowance on this one, and then I'll trim it off. But I've got a little pile of short pieces over here. Yeah, I don't like that one. And little hunks and chunks and pieces, parts that were not really strings, but people sent me as squares. This one actually I think can work if I cut it on the diagonal. It's a square, and I'll just cut it on the diagonal, and that'll give me 2 triangles that I can use as corner pieces. string piecing is a great way to teach kids to sew too, because it's so forgiving. So as I am putting strips down, my goal is to not put any of the same shades right next to each other. I want each strip visible against what I put it next to. So I'm really not doing light, dark, light, dark, light, but I am doing contrast, 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 because I want each strip to show. So as I go through here, here's a little piece. Oh, I already used that one in there. I'm trying not to use, actually, I think I can do this as a corner, and that'll work there. The weird hunks and chunks and odd pieces work great for ends and corners. And I don't worry about the grain line when I'm doing string piecing. It's so hard not to put pedal to the metal and have the cabinet bouncing as I go. So the laptop is also sitting on a board here. Can you see that wiggle? It's sitting here just to give it a little bit of height and a place for the laptop to be. And I'm afraid that if I get the machine going too fast, that the whole camera is going to wiggle too. I noticed that last time. And if so, that's just the way we roll with it. Okay, just trimming some extra seam allowance. And we're off to the other side. So my goal is to not duplicate any of the fabrics within the block, and use a wide variety of widths and lots of different shades. And the more you put in, the less of a problem it is of having things boring or matchy-matchy. So more, put in more. Yeah, I just love how, okay, there's a little bit of a red pop right here. Can you see it? And then there's just a few red pops up here, but it's mostly gray. So I don't want it overwhelmingly colorful, but there's going to be just a little pop of a variety of colors and some silver bling in each block. Pardon me for tea. Okay. So the plan for this weekend is tomorrow is my Pamper Me day. It's a haircut day. It's a massage day. And a facial day because I've got a gift certificate for my birthday. And here's that favorite red again. But if it's snowy and icy and whatever, I'm wondering if they'll cancel me. And we're supposed to go up to the cabin tomorrow night after all is said and done. I got some pictures of snow on the mountain already by text. And it's exciting once you're there, but it's not fun driving in it to get you there. But it's my last hurrah before I take to the air again and fly back to Texas next week. So, alrighty, one more piece, just one more corner on this one. Do I have something big enough, something wide enough? It just needs to be big enough to cover, and that might not do it. I think it will. I think it will. Seam allowance is more than an eighth, approximately a quarter, somewhere in there. Better wider than narrower, and I'm just eyeballing. If you have a foot that has that edge guide thing, you may just want to switch to an open toe because they don't like to play nice. How big is this? See, I've got just little, this is my little junk corner. To use the little pieces, we'll put this guy. This machine is just a cupcake, and Because it says home mark on it, and it says dragon down here. It's got to be a guy machine, so we're just calling him Mark. My brother's name is Mark, so I can say that this is named after him. This is my machine. It's like naming your dog Bob. This is my machine, Mark. Okay, this one's done. I don't know if you can tell. There's just a little bit of purple in this gray right here. You see that lavender? Isn't that pretty? It just adds something to have some little iridescent little colors popping up here and there. And one more. What else can we get going? Is this one long enough? Ooh, that will just go on that diagonal. That's still short. That's kind of short. And I'm looking for something contrasty. One of the things that I do is if the fabric is, say, a floral, I will not put another floral next to it either. So if it's a leafy, viney thing, I won't put another leafy, viney thing. It's going to be something else. It's going to be a dot or a stripe or a plaid or a swirl or something that is not botanical. So this is a leafy thing, so I can't put another leafy thing next to it. And this is all in an effort to make sure that the strips don't blend together and that they stand out on their own. So this is kind of a geometric print, and it's going to be just fine. And you could chain 47 blocks at one time, but I don't. And I know you've probably heard me say this again and again and again, but I always talk through Quilt-Cam as if it's your first Quilt-Cam, because we have a lot of newbies with us. Here's something else to think about. If you're not cruising with me, I'm doing 3 cruises in 2016. 2017, plan on it. China. Let's go to China. I'm so excited with the possibility of actually standing on the Great Wall of China. That has been on my bucket list for so long. And I know when we see it in pictures, it's stretched out before you in snaking dragon tail ways, and it's empty and devoid of people. And I know it's going to be wall-to-wall people. But I want to be able to stand there and say, this is my life, and I'm on the Great Wall of China. I'm on the Great Wall of China, and I want to see those terracotta warriors really, really bad. Just some of those things that I've read about, seen in National Geographic, always thought about, marveled at. I want to see these with my own eyes. So that's also what we've got going on in 2017. We also have a Craft Tours Cocoon happening in April in Naperville, Illinois. So if you don't like to travel, this is too flat tone on tone. We'll put this guy back on here. Is it big enough? Nope, big enough this way. I use the strips until they're gone. So I don't pull out any new variety until things are gone. If traveling on a ship is not up to your liking, if you don't want to get on a plane and you would rather just come be pampered at a really, really nice hotel and take 4 days of workshops from master quilters, internationally known, myself, Pepper Corey, Pam Holland, and poor Mark, whose name I can never remember. That's because, oh Mark. We will be giving a 4-day retreat, and it's inclusive. So it includes your hotel stay, some banquets, lectures, 4 days worth of workshops. If you live locally enough and you want to just stay at home, there is a discounted price for those who stay at home but come play. So that option is available to you too, and I would love to see you there. Registration has opened and is nearly already full for the May. Oh, so close yet so short. Can I do it maybe? Mackinac Island, Grand Hotel, Needle Art Seminar. That's happening in May. And I'm really excited because I get to teach Grand Illusion there at the Needle Art Seminar. Now, many of you have already done it, but there are many who have not. or maybe they've started it, but it became a UFO, and they can work on it during the day while we're there, and I can give them some helps and hints in working those units just a little bit better. So there may be some availability in some of my workshops. Some of them are already sold out, but there's some really nice instructors for the Needle Arts Seminar, and you can find out information on that by clicking the Needle Arts Seminar badge, again, from a real computer or on web version of your mobile device. Left hand sidebar. Left hand sidebar. Okay, I think I finally got to a place where I can use this. And this is why I keep my smaller pieces in my small pile off to my right. And I watch my block. As I go up towards that corner, I know I can pull this small stuff and use it until it's gone. See how we're coming so far? 3 strips on this one, all different widths from each other, different shades from each other, and different textures. So we have one that is just completely solid, just a solid. The one next to it, it's like a Civil War morning print, geometric, fairly looking. And then we have this nice soft gray with viney scattered leaves on it. It's kind of open and airy. 3 distinctly different fabric styles, and that's why I like working from a wide variety like this versus a jelly roll where everything is made to go together like a paint by number, if you will, that all of those strips are pre-matched for you like a cake mix. You can make a great quilt or a great cake with a cake mix, but if you can throw in more, it's always just that much more interesting. Okay, so let's check in here who's coming in with us. We have Margaret Blank who says Quilt-Cam exclamation point. Great to catch you live tonight. First time this year. And it's only January, so you're doing good. This evening I'm stitching down the binding on one of the small throws I've made for the Syrian refugee family our church is co-sponsoring. Oh, that's wonderful. We are expecting a mom, dad, and 5 children ages 1 to 10 years by the end of the month. So she's working these quilts up. Tonight's project is the binding on a scrappy rail fence that is so wild I've called it off the rails. I love that. This photo is of the top before it was sandwiched and quilted, and this is from Margaret in Muir, Alberta, Canada. So our Canadian friends are doing a wonderful job of welcoming these families who have nowhere to go in. And I can't imagine trying to relocate to a country where I don't speak the language with 5 children ages 1 to 10 years old. That's a baby every 2 years. I can't imagine. So this is going to really cheer up some child. And thank you for opening your heart and your homes to these families. All righty, beautiful job. Thank you. Off the rails. I love it. Bobby Piland says, quilting tonight. This is what I'm working on while watching my first live Quilt-Cam. See, we have a lot of first-timers. I'm so happy that you joined in. If you ever miss one, the Quilt-Cam tab at the top of my blog is where you want to go to catch the reruns, because the feed is embedded in the blog post and will also give you all of the background information and other things I'm sharing with you, where if you watch on YouTube, you miss all of that. So just, they're nice and in order on the blog under the Quilt-Cam tab. She says, this is what I'm working on, and she's in Conway, North Carolina, not too far away. Oh, how fun is this? I see doggy bone fabric and doggies. Very cute. So she's got the spinning star there going on. I love the dog fabric. That's really cute. So is there snow in Conway tonight? Hopefully it's not going to last. Irene says, Quilt-Cam. I love Aliatare, and it is now off the long arm. Woo, woo, woo. Yes. Can't wait to try my hand at the scalloped binding, which is something I've never done before. I'm putting together the backing for Bricks in the Barnyard and a couple of other quilts in line for quilting while I'm watching Quilt-Cam. I've got the new travel group up. Getaway with Quiltville is ready for members. Oh, that's wonderful. See you in Mineola. So Irene is my moderator on our Quiltville's Open Studio group. And over the past couple years, as I've been traveling, you know, we get really close to the people that we travel with. And so there was a Facebook group that was formed from my England trip, and a Facebook group that was formed from the Ireland trip, and a Facebook group that was formed from Italy trip, and a Facebook group that was formed from Peru, and a Facebook group that was formed by the Caribbean cruise that we did in October, not to mention last year's Caribbean cruise. So you can see, and you can just imagine that my feed in my Facebook is, okay, there's now 15 different Quiltville groups for traveling. And I want to be able to put them together into one group. So if you are planning on traveling with me and are looking for a roommate, this would be a great group to join. If you've traveled with me anywhere before and you want to stay in touch with the group you've traveled with, this would be a great group to join. And yes, the group will grow over time as we do more trips. And maybe after a while, you'll drop out of that group because you're not traveling with me anymore. But I want it to be a home base for those who have traveled with us. So the group name is Getaway with Quiltville. And if you put that in the search bar at the top of Facebook, you'll be able to join and to participate. And we will moderate this. It will be a closed group for those who have traveled with us or are planning to travel with us. So if you're not planning on traveling, this is just information on things like excursions that you can do when you're on the trips. Find a roommate. Talk about the projects, the supply list that things we're going to be sewing on board. So it really is trip related. It's not just I want to show you my quilt, look what I made thing. That's what Quiltville Open Studio is for. But if you're traveling with me, Getaway with Quiltville is the group that we're starting just for that purpose, so that I don't add 3 or 4 more groups every year in my Facebook. Hopefully this will work. You think? Hopefully. Okay. Thank you, Irene. And she did send a picture of her Aliatare, and there she is. That is just beautiful. Remember, if you're wanting to do the scalloped border, the best way to do it is to quilt it first. And then you're going to use the templates that were in the PDF file. And I'm leaving the PDF file up on my website. Even after we retire the mystery, the PDF file will stay there, because people who have printed out their instructions will still need to go print that template when they get to that point. So don't worry, that's going to stay there. Use the templates to trace your gentle curve on your border. And then prepare your bias binding. And you're just going to stitch your binding to the quilt with the raw edge of the binding up against that curved line. And then after you've gone all the way around and you've finished your join and you've finished that binding, then you will trim 1/4 inch away from the stitching. It's very forgiving. Bias binding is great to work with. My one hint is to do not pull that binding as you're sewing. Just kind of gently, just let it lay around those curves. Do not pull. Just let it be relaxed, okay? Thank you, Irene. That's wonderful. I love it. Okay. And as I'm having a major hot flash here, whoo, in the inbox, Anita says it's binding time during Quilt-Cam. So glad to be able to catch Quilt-Cam tonight. She's got her Aliatare too. She says, I'm hand stitching down the binding on my mini Aliatare. Next up is figuring out the borders for my lap size one. Project for this coming weekend. A small box of gray batik strips is on its way to you. Cut from my stash since I went a different colorway in the mystery quilt. And this is from Anita in Illinois. Oh my goodness, you can see that this is on her table. Look how tiny that is. That is absolutely stunning. I love it. I am saving this photo. Lime green, orange, purple, black, and neutral, all batiks. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. We got to save that one. Patty Jackson on Quilt-Cam. She says, I'm putting together my tossed 9 patch for a Wounded Warrior quilt. We turned them into our guild in March. You were here some time ago in Abilene, Texas. And I remember Abilene. I remember it must have been September because the fair was going on. And as I landed in Abilene, we flew right over the fair and I could see the circus, the Ferris wheel and all that stuff. It was really fun. What a fun town. Okay, so she's got her tossed 9 patch or her disappearing 9 patch, whichever way you want to call it. I was teaching this pattern to my friend Mona this weekend as she was learning how to sew on the treadle machine. And we started out with 4.5-inch squares because all of our squares were not exactly 5. And if you're working from charm packs, that's frustrating when they're not the same size. So we squared them down to 4, and then she was making the 9 patches on the treadle machine. And it was a great way to learn. Good big size. And then go and slice them down, and then we'll rearrange them later. We have plans for this weekend. I'm bringing a couple huge baskets of recycled shirt parts, and we're going to cut 8.5-inch squares. And we're going to do Scrappy Mountain Majesties in plaids. Remember the one that I made for my brother with his brain tumor issue? I want a plaid one for me, for the cabin. And she wants a plaid one. And I've got enough shirts to go around the world. So we're just taking those up there. And I'm like, yes, take my shirts, please. Help me sew these up. So we're going to have fun. That's the weekend plan there. Rhonda Harvey says... She says, hi, Bonnie, love you. Love you too, Rhonda. I think. No, I'm so happy you turned in. She says, I'm drawing lines on 480 black 2-inch squares, and you still love me? Oh, here's what I know. You're drawing lines, but the time that it takes to draw the line, you make up for with how quickly and how accurately you can sew them. If I don't draw the lines, I'm in trouble. Even if I try to do the line on my machine bed and follow it with the whatever, I can't sew straight. I just can't. So the lines to save my bacon. You will thank me in the long run. She says, I'm one of those crazy people who loves to do this kind of quilting. If I knew how to put a picture in this email, I would. And that smiley face from Rhonda. Don't get a pencil cramp. Take a cramp. Pencil cramp. Oh, take a break. Lisa Bush on the label. Thanks for Quilt-Cam. A quick question about labels on quilts. Do you use bubble jet set on the fabric, and what pens do you like to use? Thanks. And that's Lisa of the North Woods. I don't do computer printed labels, so I don't use the bubble jet set. What I like to use is either a Pigma pen in the size 0.05, not 0.05, because the more zeros, the smaller the pen tip. So a 0.05. And I will also I've used very successfully the mini Sharpie, the fine point Sharpie, and then I just iron over it to set the ink when I'm done. And I haven't had any trouble with that whatsoever. I know there's a lot of good fabric markers out there, but I have never had any luck with a computer printed label that did not fade after washing. So I stopped doing computer printed labels, and I just write my own in my own hand. Even if my writing isn't straight, even if it's not perfect, it's my writing. And I feel like we are really losing our connection to our own handwriting, and the people that come after us, they don't care about a computer font. Anybody can print that computer font. So at least sign your labels in your own hand, no matter how you design the label, whether it's embroidered out, whether it's printed on an inkjet or a bubble jet. Sign your name in your own hand. Please, please, please. We need it for posterity. Okay, Wayne and Pauline, Quilt-Cam Live, yay, says, I'm on stress leave from work at the moment. Silver lining for me, I get to watch you live doing some hexies, and boy, is she going to town on those hexies. Which reminds me, I need to cut out some hexies before I go to Texas. Oh, I love these. They are centerless posies. She's done them so that all the posies are one color. There's no middles to them. And that just looks like they fit together like puzzle pieces. That's fun. I like that. I like that. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Glad that you're with us tonight. I'm going to do some more sewing here. I'm chasing my foot pedal. This is a brand new the foot pedal that goes to this machine. Usually the pedal I have before, I put the sticky Velcro on the bottom, not the soft side, but the crunchy side of the Velcro, and it kind of sticks to my carpet so that my foot pedal doesn't go wandering. But I didn't have a chance to do it to this one yet. Okay, contrast, contrast. Going with a lighter gray, and this one has a little bit of a texture to it, which is going to be fun. It's not too light, but it's got some interesting design to it. Got my 70s station, Netflix, not Netflix, Pandora, and the the Fifth Dimension are singing. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Okay, it's my favorite song ever growing up as a child because I thought it was about me specifically because my birthday's January 23rd and I'm an Aquarius. So this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. It must be about me, said my 7-year-old self. And this piece that I cut off with the watch on it will fit right there in that corner. I absolutely loved the Fifth Dimension when I was growing up. They were just awesome. And here's another one that'll work right there. Different width, darker texture. No repeats in the block. And did I just run out of bobbin thread? Or am I just stuck? Nope, I think there was just a thread stuck on the presser foot. Okay. I haven't tried the bobbin winder on this one yet. Okay, watch face on the corner. I just love all of the different things and trying to make them as different as possible. So I'm looking here at this one. Look at how fun this is. It's a dark gray with little turquoise, looks like little eyeballs. But it's very wide. It's like 2.5. So I think what I'm going to do is just fold this. And I usually do this just with scissors. I don't want to take the time to get out the rotary mat and the cutter and the ruler. I'm just going to fold it and cut it somewhat off center, which is going to give me 2 different widths, and they won't be straight. On purpose, they won't be straight. But now I can use this right here, and it's okay with me if the strips taper or lean or go a little bit wonky. Sometimes that adds more interest to the block. I like that little bit of turquoise. Kind of matches my machine. And so here's this one, and I think that little piece I was just using will go really well right next to this solid gray too, because I don't want to put another tone on tone next to the solid because that looks really boring. Go ahead and stick something with a little bit more pizzazz next to the solid ones. Yeah, that makes me a happy girl. I get all excited about all the possibilities when working with all of this stuff. I can't wait until after, when Quilt-Cam's over, I go over to YouTube and make sure that all of the tags are right on the video and make sure it plays and whatever, and I can listen to a little bit of it. And I love to hear what the sewing machine actually sounds like to the watchers, because I know what it sounds like here, but I don't know what it sounds like when it's being recorded. Looking in the small pile. Do I have something that'll fit? Yes, I do. Okay. I can tell you I'm going to have to do more than one gray string quilt in the next book, because maybe I'll have to piece a gray string backing or something, because these strips they just want to play together. They're so wonderful. Okay, coming along here. I'm going to get the pieces sewn to this, and then we'll take some more questions. But I'm thinking, I see this peeking out here. Just a little bit of gray with big white splashy polka dots would be perfect to go next. And I have to tell you, through all of this, there's not been many pieces that I have recognized as stuff that I have had in my own stash. This is all so different, and it's just terrific. I'm thinking, nope, too light. This one's very light. I need something a little bit darker. I'm looking in the small junk. How about this one? There's a triangle. That'll fit. I love polka dots. Polka dots are amazing. And then there's this fun stuff. There's kind of a dark gray with little circles and squares and dots and stuff. I think we'll make a good corner if I don't have anything else that is tall enough. This one, nope. Maybe this one. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so this should be enough for 2 corners if I cut it this way. I cut a lot of things with an angle so that it'll fit a corner, and it leaves me more with less waste. I can do a whole nother corner. If I sewed it straight on, I'd be trimming off a lot of waste and throwing that away. So I tend to cut things so that they will fit. I want the fabric to go as far as it can. Okay. Getting down there on this one. Let's take some more. I love that, Pauline. I just popped open to your centerless hexies again. Those are just adorable. She's from Victoria, Australia, so I appreciate her catching us in her afternoon time. Top of the list. Let's go to the top. Nola says, one of your fans. This is Carmela. She comes running for Quilt-Cam and watches it intently. I'm trying to do some hand quilting and leave in the morning on retreat. And this is Nola and Carmela. See if I turn this way. So Carmela comes running when she hears Quilt-Cam on Nola's computer. That's wonderful. Have a wonderful time at retreat, Nola. I know it's really cold out there. You'll enjoy being inside and warm and sewing away with everybody. Sue McElvaney says, happy birthday. Here's a quilt top I found for 10 bucks at the hospital thrift shop in Nantucket. Are you kidding me? I quilted it, and it's just so fresh and cute. Not vintage, but I wanted to preserve someone's hard work. Thanks for your inspiration. I don't care if it's vintage or not. This is adorable. See if I can get this to turn. Will it turn? So it's kind of sideways here, but see if I can make it go bigger. It's a 9-patch with a really cute checkerboard border, and I like how it's set so that you have those little dancing 9-patches. Those are adorable. So the 9-patch, see if I can turn this. So the 9 patches have light corners, and then it's set with just a plain alternate block. So these little crosses are floating on that sea of white, and that's really, really cute. How many of you saw my post? Was that yesterday morning? Yes, that was yesterday morning. American Patchwork and Quilting is starting their new quilt along for 2016, and this year the theme is plus blocks. It all adds up, such as in the 9 patch that was in that quilt reminded me of the little plus block that has kind of taken the quilt world by storm, because it's a great scrappy, it's very bold, it's geometric. And I love the ties to the red and white quilts, the Red Cross quilts that are vintage antique. And so I am jumping on the bandwagon for that. If you'd like to join me in the It All Adds Up Plus Block Challenge for American Patchwork and Quilting, you'll find that in yesterday morning's blog post. I've got links to the magazines where you can find patterns for inspiration. And of course, you can always do your own plus block layout. Just join on in with everybody. It's a way to keep us motivated and going. And I thought, especially after last year, it was a great fill-in project when, okay, the mystery's now over and we don't do the next leader ender until July. What's going to keep us going on in here? And sometimes that little plus block or the little sew along thing can be great. So you'll find out more information about that also at allpeoplequilt.com. And I'm thinking this piece is just big enough. Hooray! See, I love that. Just pick up a piece and you know you've used the whole thing. I'm quite amazed I have not run out of bobbin yet. Okay, so now this one's done. And when I'm done, the way that I trim is I'll trim 2 sides so I have a good square corner. And once I have a good square corner, I turn it to the front side, to the pretty side, and then I'll put the line that I'm measuring by on my ruler along the good cut corner. So I know that it's square, and then I'll trim them the size that I want them to be, whatever size that is. So I don't feel like I have to center this, but sometimes the paper does feel like it shrinks up a little bit with all of the stitching and the fabric adhered to it. So I trim 2 sides, turn it to the front, and then use the line that I'm measuring by on the clean cut corner so that I'm sure that I'm getting the block size that I need. So I trim by the paper but cut by the numbers on the ruler. All right. Now here's somebody's something. Maybe this was trimmed from their backing or something, because I've got a torn edge here and kind of a jaggedy trimming line, and it starts out kind of fat and then it goes down until it's skinny. And these are the kind of things I love in my string bucket, because it gives me that tapered look, that variety. And if you can throw in just one tapered string here and there, it will give your block a little bit of wonk and wiggle. So I'm going to put some of this down here. Here's another short piece that I've been waiting for a place to put, and I haven't found it yet. And let's see what we have in here that's a little bit lighter. That's not light enough. What about this one? This is kind of an interesting one. It's gray with white ovals. Very fun. Maybe you are the one that sent me this and you recognize that piece and you're saying, oh yeah, I sent that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Several of the notes that came with the fabrics, I love reading the notes, and many of them were handwritten. And again, I think that handwriting is so precious, and that we're losing it with all of the type, send, delete that we do. So these handwritten notes were just wonderful to receive. And many of you commented that I'm so happy to share my grays, because I collected grays for a whole year before I had a variety to do the quilt that they needed to do with those grays. And again, that just makes me even more grateful that you shared those hard to find grays with me for this project. Now the Carpenters are singing Mr. Postman on the radio. That could be my theme song for this week, with all of the postage coming and all of the bundles of gray strip squishy envelopes in the mail. Mr. Postman. Because with that many, they can't stuff them in my mailbox. They come to the door. Okay, now, am I to a point where I can use this piece? I think I am. Yes. Alrighty, so then we need something that's going to be fun here. I think these cats. The gray cats are just too fun. So 2 inches, this is about a 2-inch strip. That's as wide as I would go, and I probably wouldn't put any more than 1 2-inch strip in the block. They just cover up too much space too quickly. One more piece on this, and this one's done. Looking for some weird hunks. I think that one's... I have a very light one on the end, so I wanted something kind of dark. Maybe a piece of this, I think. This one's a very dark gray with a black leaf on it, but I think it'll work. Check out that cat face. Isn't that hysterical? They're so funny. I love them. Look at this one. All stretched out. So funny. I love it. I don't know if that was a Halloween print or not. I'm not sure. All right. Let's see what else is going on. Messages keep coming in because the phone keeps vibrating. Okay, JN Quilt-Cam says, enjoying Quilt-Cam tonight from Wisconsin. Finished my mystery top just today. Used all constants and added an extra border. Just love this one, Bonnie. Thanks. My mom passed away on December 3rd, so making this quilt was great comfort to me during that time and will always have a special place in my heart. Mom always loved to see what the mystery would be. Thanks again. And this is from Janine Nelson. Oh, Janine, thank you for sharing your story. That really touches my heart. And she's got it hanging here out in the Wisconsin snow. Look, she's got a lot more snow than I do, but that is just beautiful. And I'm really glad that you were able to focus on that, knowing that your mom would have loved to have seen it completed. It can't be easy. And this is one of the reasons why we do mysteries during the holidays. People lose people all year around. But even if you lost somebody in February or March, guess what happens come around the holidays? It's hard, and we miss them, and we need something positive to throw ourselves into. And so that's why I will continue to do our mysteries during the holidays, because those of you who understand why. And I'm really glad that they're there to help you. And I know that thoughts of your mom are close at hand, and I'm sending you a hug through here. Your quilt is absolutely beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And for the sake of Wisconsin, I hope spring is not too far off. All righty. One from Anna who says, love, love, love your animation dance when you talk about wiggle when you work. Wiggle when you work with odd size strips. You go, girl. Yeah, I know. I'm not any Italian, but I'm just very expressive with my hands. Shelly Mallory says, under my needle, foundation piecing wild and goosey, crazy pineapple, and some flying geese. to stash with her crumbs. Oh, this is just a beautiful photo. I love this. See if I can get this to open up. Look at all of this happy color. She's got wild and goosies going on in there, pineapple crazies going on in there, and then some flying geese strips just to use up her leftover crumb triangles and stuff. Flying geese are awesome for all those cut off bonus triangles that you didn't sew together because the pieces are already cut. Just sew and go. And foundation piecing is wonderful when you don't have to rotary cut any fabric to a specific size to sew it on, because we sew it first, trim second. It's just so easy to use those little pieces. Those are happy colors. Thank you for sharing those. Just beautiful, Shelly. Gerald here says, or Diana, who is writing on Gerald's email. Sometimes that's the first thing I see is the name of the email that's coming. Happy birthday and many more. Tonight I'm working on a wall hanging for my mother in a nursing home 1,000 miles away. That's got to be very difficult also. It's not perfect, but it's made with love. And this is Diane in Pensacola. Oh, how cute is that? It's a little postage stamp hearts, and it looks like a postage stamp. Look at that little rickrack finish or the zigzag finish around the hearts, and it says, "We love you, Mother." Isn't that wonderful? Valentine's Day is another one of those holidays that I just love because it's fun and it's sweet, and we let people that we know and care about in small ways. Somebody came to, where was I? Oh, I was at the last guild that I was teaching for in South Carolina. Somebody had a big giant bag of conversation hearts, and they were sharing the conversation hearts with all the quilters in the room. And I said, it's only January. She said, yes, but Valentine's Day doesn't last long enough, so let's start it now. And I thought that's the best idea. So as soon as January hits, as soon as Christmas is over, or for some, as soon as Epiphany is over, it needs to be Valentine's Day. All righty, so I think I'm going to sew on one more strip. Will this fit? No, it's too small. Maybe this one, will this fit? Yes, it will fit. I just want to sew a couple more before I log off for the night. Now this one, I had to move down a little bit so that you can see I've got extra seam allowance up here. I did not want a seam this close to the corner, so I slid this one down further so that the seam is further down in the block, and I'm now going to fold the paper back so that I can just trim by eye that extra seam allowance. I don't feel the need to put it on a mat and get out the add-a-quarter ruler and trim with a rotary cutter. I just don't have enough going on my table over here already. Okay, and this one's done. So this one has two pops of color. We've got a little bit of this light gray with yellow and orange and pink going on over here. Really cute little print that came as a very small piece. I was happy to use it. And then this favorite over here with they kind of look like little round berries, black and red and white in there. So there are little pops of color happening. Here's another interesting one that somebody sent. It's got some gray in it, but there's some yellow and some turquoise as well, and some green. So I think if I cut this narrow, it's too wide to be used this way. But if I cut it narrower, and then you take the seam allowance from it, it's just going to have little pops of color here and there. So I'm excited about these ones that are not just gray. Here's another one. This one looks like kind of a cowboy fabric. At least it does to me, like belt buckles and shirts and Western wear. It's got little orange diamonds on it, but how fun is that going to be for a little pop of color? Other things that are interesting. What do I have here on the table that I can share with you? Some recycled shirt plaids. This one is gray and white and has that little bit of brown in it, but it's still very much gray and white. This is going to add a lot of interest in here. This is another one that's going to be really interesting. And what's fun for me is I'm guessing on these because many of these I have not seen on the bolt anywhere. But this one looks like a kind of a Civil War era or very vintage thing. Look at those little, they kind of look like little feather headdresses or something. But there's little red bits here in between the little sashing on this fabric. This is one that's going to be really interesting in these blocks too. So as you're working on your own string blocks at home, no matter whether you're doing a rainbow of colors or whether you're doing one color family, or even if you're just doing neutrals, remember you want variety within that color family that you're working with. Not just on the shade, but in the type of fabric that it is too. So we've got solids, geometrics, some scattered leaf things, another texture where it's gray with a white print on top. This is kind of another geometric texture tone on tone thing. This one is gray with red and white and black berries. This one looks kind of like a woven burlap. It's white with a very gray, kind of looks like a linen maybe kind of a thing. And this is almost a black, but it's a dark gray with black leaves. So you can see the good variety that we're getting in these, and they're not boring by any means. Even though they're gray, they're very interesting to work with. Well, everybody, it's that time of the evening. I'm hearing footsteps upstairs, which means somebody's home, and it's time to head to the hot tub. If I can make myself go out there when it's snowing and freezing, and you're freezing, you run to the hot tub and hang up your robe on the hook, and then you climb in, and then the water's so hot, it's like, it's so hot to get in, but then it's like, oh, and I sleep like a baby afterwards. So that's where I'm headed. If it's still early where you are, don't stop sewing now. Those of you on the West Coast, those of you in Alaska, those of you in Australia, it's still early. If you can get another hour or so in before life takes you away, do it. You'll be so happy to see this progress in the morning when you walk past your projects again. As for me, we're heading close to 10:30 now. I turn into a pumpkin at 10:30, and people who ask, you know, do you ever sleep? Do you ever sleep? Yes, I sleep like a log from 11 o'clock to 6:30 a.m. That's just, and I will wake up that way even if I don't set the alarm. I'm a solid 7.5 hour sleeper. So pumpkin time is coming for me. Next, Quilt-Cam. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it next week because I've got to get ready for heading to Texas, and it's just, things are going to be really, really busy. So probably I go to Texas, and then I go to Alabama straight from there, and then I'm home for a couple of days, and then I go to California. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to really take a good look at the calendar and see when we can fit it in next. Be watching on the blog, be watching on Facebook, and I will give you at least 2 days heads up on when the next Quilt-Cam can be. And if you happen to be missing Quilt-Cam for any reason, remember there's several years worth of archives under the Quilt-Cam tab at the top of the blog. I guess that's it for now for me. I'm Bonnie Hunter signing off from the basement at Quiltville. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.